Hi and welcome back to the channel, and it's definitely a welcome back. Summer didn't quite go as planned. I thought I would get at least some modelling done when my children were off school. I had plans to do some with my children, and none of that happened for numerous reasons. I did do some painting, but that was of a bedroom, which doesn't really count. I haven't done any since looking at my YouTube dashboard. I didn't publish anything since the 11th of August, which was a tiny update looking at the slide bars for this model, which, if you remember, is this small run batch kit for the Peckett Sons GAMECOCK locomotive. I'd built up the slide bars and checked that the piston rods would fit. And that was the last thing I'd done. And I have done a little bit more today to get myself back into things, remind myself where I was, and hopefully we'll pick up and do a weekly update again, and I'll get this and possibly some other modelling stuff working. I haven't had a completely blank summer for railways, at least. I've had an article published, which is exciting, and I might come back to in another video. It's not modelling related, but it is history related, railway history, so I might come back to that. And I've been working on a railway related book, which has moved nicely over the summer as well, where I've been able to do a little bit of research and stuff in evenings and things while children are in bed, and I haven't been able to make quite so much noise because my modelling workbench is essentially in the room between my two children's bedrooms, so I can't do too much when they're in bed. Anyway, back to what we've done this week, and have a look. So first things first, I got this out of the box. If you remember, we built up the chassis and I'd fitted the outside cranks. Now obviously these crank pins are too long. Once I've got the rest of the motion on, these will get cut back and filed flush. But I picked it up out of the box and I managed to knock one of these off. Now they were only retained with this Loctite 243, which is what I use. I think it's what the instructions recommend, and it's what I use for all the other models where you want to have one kind of metal part retained on another. So here, the cranks are retained onto the axle. But the problem was, and we discussed this in earlier videos, that the axles, although I cut new axles from my own stock to the measurements given in the instructions and that matched the guide on the etch, I still thought they were really, really short, in the fact that when they stick out of the chassis there isn't much material to add the cranks to. And in fact, if you look at the cranks, it's a bit difficult to see under the light, but you can see that the axle doesn't come all the way through the crank, even though the crank is right up against the chassis, which means there's very little in the way of material contact surface, and obviously the Loctite works by being in that contact surface and keeping things solid. So yeah, I managed to knock one off, and I wasn't necessarily happy with the fact that all the others were as tight as they should be. So there's not much I can do about it other than I could strip this thing down entirely. I'd have to unsolder lots, take the wheels out, fit them to longer axles, fit the cranks, and then file the axles back. But I think, I will do that if it comes to it, but I think I would pretty much destroy the kit. I think it would be pretty much a write-off. Getting this unsoldered, the wheels out, without twisting it, damaging it beyond repair, would be tricky. Every time you put the axles in and out through the wheels and everything, you're risking damaging the plastic wheel centers. So I would prefer not to do any of that if I don't have to. So what I've done, and again, it's reversible if necessary, is I've you can probably see I've been in the surface of the cranks here are shiny, because I've just literally like 5-10 minutes ago been in with the soldering iron. I've put some flux on the surface of the crank so it went into the hole and around the axle, and then I touched in some solder on them all. Now I'm guessing partly because there was the Loctite in there and the axles weren't necessarily as clean. Well, I mean the rolled silver steel as well, so things don't solder to it very well. it's not filled the hole on the front of the crank necessarily, but what it has done, I think, is essentially made the parts bigger. I think some of the solder has kind of got into the gaps, leaked out from the etch, the laminated etches for the cranks, and these are now on a lot solid. None of them are going anywhere. I've waggled them. I don't want to do it under the camera because I can't see so well, but I've waggled them quite hard. They don't seem to be coming off now. I've also checked I can rotate the lathe shaft. Everything moves as it should. The wheels all seem tight still on the axle, so I've not melted the wheel, the plastic inners, inserts in the wheels. So everything seems okay with that. That seems like it's now fixed and sorted. Fingers crossed, that's done it, and I don't have to think about taking it apart or doing anything more catastrophic to sort it. So that's done. The other thing I've done is built up both cylinders. Now these were quite finicky. So they're tiny little 3D printed parts that have etches on both ends. Now it's difficult to see, but there are actually 2 etched layers on both sides. So there's a full thickness layer on both sides, and then a half etched layer to give detail on both ends. And these parts, certainly on this end, you can see they're a circular etched part, but then this kind of oval hole that goes almost all the way to the edge. So getting those off the fret, tidying them up, and then fitting them was a pain, especially because it's difficult to see, but down the sides of these parts in the middle here, there's actually a groove that goes into a small hole in the end of the print, and that's where the slide bars fit, with then the piston rod going into the central hole. So yeah, finicky, but doable. And I feel like, I mean, this was more trying to fix things that hadn't gone right before. This is at least is an achievement of something new. So we now have cylinders. It wasn't the next thing in the instructions. As I say, I've been kind of jumping around the instructions as and when I felt like I could do something in the time I had. So I still need to go back and finish off building up the piston rods properly. They need connecting to the connecting rods, lathe pins and soldering, and numerous other bits and pieces, but progress. So hopefully this marks the start of me getting back to modelling, and that hopefully will then continue at least until Christmas, when there's a break with family, and I don't know, can't guarantee that I will be able to do stuff during the whole Christmas holidays, but hopefully, hopefully we'll see this move on. And I have a couple of other things planned for the rest of this year and next year, including one thing that will involve my my eldest doing some modelling with us, so look out for that on the channel. And as I say, if you're new or haven't subscribed yet, then the link is down here, and hopefully we'll be back to one video a week on a Monday, or at least one video a week on a Monday. Sometimes if I have something huge or I've done lots, I might do another one. But thanks for watching, and hopefully I will see you in a week's time. Bye.